What's up everybody, welcome to Money Management channel. My name is Andrei and today I'm gonna be doing an update on MMTLP and FINRA saga.
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed, born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up.
And guys, for today's video I have a real bombshell news. Potentially we have an evidence that FINRA is acting illegally. And definitely they cannot act like this, and something has to be changed. On top of that, I will show you how the market makers and the wrongdoers might easily change their opinion in regards to one of the crucial points of the US stock market. And on top of that, I will show you that potentially Donald Trump will step in our case, and he might definitely solve the entire problem of US stock market, like lack of transparency. So, and before we dive deep into all of this, guys, please hit the like button for YouTube algorithm and drop me a line in the comment section if you think my videos are valuable for you. And let's start with the news itself. I have to say that Scott Roth again published extremely interesting and important news. He wrote, "The Harvard kids analyze FINRA and the cases and laws points towards its existence being unconstitutional. Anybody who can read and understand Subaru or Toyota engine swaps, or who can assemble kids' bike at 2 a.m. in the morning on December 25, can read and understand what the kids are saying here. FINRA should understand the grounds beneath its feet are collapsing in Florida sinkhole fashion. Best thing you will read all day, but if you don't have time, just scroll down to US Supreme Court Justice Alito's comments on a case involving a private organization using government powers. He ain't buying it. FINRA is on the bubble, and I'm hoping bursts in Roth versus Rubinstein case." So guys, he added this link. It is quite interesting article, and it was published at the very beginning of this year on January of 2024, as you can see right here. You can download it, you can see full issue, or let me show you, let me pay your attention to this paragraph, and let me quote you this in details. "As a result, the constitutionality of delegations to unquestionably private actors remains unresolved. The lower courts have split the difference between the per se rule proposed by the DC Circuit and Judge Walker's implied conclusion that private non-delegation challenges present only de facto appointments clause claims. Instead, an entity's private status determines the extent and nature of power that the actor may properly wield. As the Fifth Circuit generalized, private partners must function subordinately to an agency with authority and surveillance over them. To ensure the private partner remains subordinate, Congress may employ private entities for ministerial or advisory roles, but it might not give these entities governmental power over others." So guys, how cool is that statement? Consequently, the private partner may not be wield concurrent authority to an agency, make principal policy decisions, or regulate unilaterally. And guys, this is a real bombshell. This means, according to Harvard Law Review magazine, you can make a conclusion that FINRA acts illegally. And if so, their total immunity is basically just smoke and mirrors. And based on this research, potentially, in our case, and let me remind you that Scott Roth is about to burst this bubble, as he stated in this statement, and this total immunity should be challenged, at least challenged, and in best case scenario, it should be cancelled completely. And when it happens, and guys, for now, I think we have more and more chances to see this happen. And when it happens, it will definitely be a huge breakthrough, not only in our case, but in the major case of the transparency of US stock market. And this is a real bombshell. On top of that, guys, take a look right here. Christian Shaughnessy wrote the tweet that was reposted by Anna, and let me quote what did she write. There is a reason payment for order flow is banned almost everywhere else in the world. Even Citadel and Virtu Financial argued against payment for order flow years ago. At that time, they didn't have payment for order flow agreements and all of its advantages, so they argued PFOF should be banned. Here are Citadel's own words in 2004. It is a direct speech. The practice of payment for order flow creates serious conflicts of interest and should be banned. Internalization without meaningful price improvement reduces competition, limits price discovery, leads to market fragmentation and should be banned. The data that market makers get from payment for order flow is priceless. Consider the advantage a giant hedge fund, who is a big market maker, has been able to see all the data about how each person trades, including their buying power. That data includes cost basis, margin levels, trading behavior, cash flow in out of their account, stop loss tendencies, etc. Then add in today's AI and computer power and the ability to keep retail orders out of elite market and in dark pools. In a CNBC interview, Ken Griffin talked about taking advantage of human behavior. Guess what gives him the data to do that? Payment for order flow. Now that Citadel and Virtu have PFOF agreements, they are big proponents of it. With PFOF, market makers know the cumulative average price of a stock paid by retail, and where they would need to take the stock price down to shake people out, especially if you also knew everyone's stop-loss pattern. What market makers didn't count on was a more educated retail investor base not getting shaken out by market manipulation, the hodl phenomenon. Retail investors are not behaving how market makers expect or need them to. What is a market maker to do if the price of a stock is driven so low, and yet investors still hodl, refusing to be scared out of the stock and company they believe in? Take away PFOF and its obvious advantages, and then see what happens to the stock price, to the price of the stock that is 70% owned by retail. Question: is this why Virtu Financial is petitioning the SEC to alter the list penny stocks? That list includes some that retail investors refuse to be shaken out of. Question: is that why Nasdaq is doubling down on Virtu's petition and proposing similar rule changes? Thanks to Polish Assassin for this information, and Wall Street Journal, she added basically a couple of articles that are proving her words. And guys, I have to say that if market makers might easily change their opinion, they can do it multiple times, and that is why it is unfair play to have these people and these companies as your opponents. That is why, guys, we have to have more transparency on the market. But for some reasons, and definitely we know what these reasons are, these major market makers with their huge and deep pockets, they want to stop us. But guys, I think they will not succeed in this case. So let me show you, let me remind you that this tweet was reposted by Anna, and let me remind you that she is a part of the RICO lawsuit that was filed by Mark Basile. And you know that Mark Basile has quite strong position in terms of his job, and guys, not so many people want and like to see his behavior in public spaces like Twitter, and that is why he was attacked by some of MMTLP community members because of his so-called lack of actions. But guys, believe me, if Anna Trades chose Mark Basile to be his lawyer, and guys, let me remind you that Anna was the first person of MMTLP community who asked Gary Gensler the most important question for us. Definitely he didn't answer, but she was the first person who made it. And that is why, guys, if you don't believe Mark, believe Anna. And let me show you what Mark wrote in regards to this saga. That was directed to the minions, he means attacks. Attacking me and Anna because of what we know and the lawsuit. They might as well side with FINRA because they don't want to know the truth. And if they are against my client and her efforts, They are against the community, period. And guys, Mark Basil signed a contract with Anna, and that is why he is her lawyer, and he has to do his best in order to protect her and in order to win this lawsuit. And it is his fiduciary duty and his obligation. That is why, guys, it doesn't matter whether you like Mark Basil or not. He will do his best in order to win this case. And this is the only result that we want to see. On top of that, guys, take a look right here. Anna also reposted this tweet that TD Bank now takes painful $2.6 billion hit in penalties. And we know that a lot of companies performed illegal actions during the previous years. And let me show you this quite interesting update from Kristen Shonas. She wrote this 10 hours ago. Banks continue to fight efforts to make sure they are holding enough capital reserve. US regulators will not be able to finalize continuous bank capital hikes before the November presidential election, casting doubt over whether those and other stiff draft rules for Wall Street banks will be completed at all, said 5 people familiar with the matter. The so-called Basel III Endgame rules would overhaul how banks with more than $100 billion in assets manage their capital, potentially cramping their lending and trading. Banks say extra capital is unnecessary and will hurt the economy, and have aggressively lobbied to kill Basel. Combined, the rules could require banks to hold more than $200 billion in extra capital and debt based on regulatory estimates, meaning substantial of indefinite delays could be extremely valuable to the industry. Some progressives who favor tougher rules fret that the Basel fight, in which banks have spent millions of dollars on public campaigns, will ultimately succeed in stemming the sweeping regulatory overhaul they had hoped for under Democratic leadership, despite last year's bank failures exposing risks in the system. And guys, I have to say that banks, for now, US banks are now in quite tricky situation. They have a lack of funds, and we have more and more evidence of this using just simple due diligence. And guys, let me show you that even Donald Trump has said this. For too long, the average American has been squeezed by the big banks and financial elites. It's time we take a stand together. And potentially this might lead us to the conclusion that Donald Trump will step in when he becomes the next US president. And guys, we know that our cases tied up closely together because of the letter that was written by Devin Nunes on April 23rd, where he mentioned about our letter that was signed by 74 Congress members. And this means we have very close relationships with the DJT case. On top of that, guys, take a look right here. As I already mentioned, we have a lot of wrongdoers who has to pay huge penalties and who changed their mind in order to cover themselves. And that is why FINRA cover them as well. But in general, guys, take a look at how deep the problem is. If you Google sold not yet purchased, you can see that Citadel Securities has $65 billion in securities sold and not yet purchased. And I have to admit that it is not the only company. And by the way, Citadel is the company under the management of Ken Griffin, and we know that Ken Griffin potentially is the main wrongdoer. On top of that, guys, if you Google sold not yet purchased Goldman Sachs, you can see that, let me quote it for you, Goldman Sachs increased their securities sold not yet purchased from $110 billion in 2022 to $249 billion in 2023. So they more than doubled their position of securities sold and not yet purchased. And this is a pure evidence that they have a lack of money to cover their short positions. That is why this finds, let me show you, somewhere here. So, wait a second. This fines was issued by the regulators. On top of that, guys, Citigroup also has $110 billion in securities sold and not yet purchased. On top of that, Wells Fargo has $18.84 billion in securities sold and not yet purchased. So every top 10 banks and every top 10 bank and every other bank in the United States territory has this type of so-called assets. And that is why, guys, this system is broken and it needs to be changed. And guys, let me tell you my personal story. I have a wife and 2 children aged 11 and 15, as well as a small dog. After 30 years of living in Russia near the Baikal Lake, we decided to move. Now we reside in Serbia. Although I don't own any MMTLP shares, I invest a lot of time creating daily MMTLP videos. I have been doing this every day without days off and holidays for more than 1.5 years. Now I wish to buy back this time from my family, from my children. We've agreed that I will ask the MMTLP community to support me and I will give all the money to the children. Therefore, if you believe that I am providing useful content for you and wish to support me, you can join my Patreon account. For $5 a month, I will add your name to my list of supporters if you wish. Thank you in advance. The link you can find in the description below. So, I think that's all information that I want to provide you. If you like my video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And see you guys and girls next time. Bye!
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gone live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, doing no cap. Only God wants you.